no firmly established rectification technique.
因为并没有特别标准化的这种生时校正的方法。
One of the best things is if the rectification causes some change in the chart that is very significant, and the chart makes more sense as a natal chart, that's a very good indication.
那当然，如果说你校正出来的这个时间，它跟之前的那个差距特别大，但是呢又有非常重大的一些意义的话，那肯定是很有用的。
Also, if major transits have occurred by outer planets conjoining any of the angles, the four angles, somewhere in life, if major events that were appropriate occurred at that time, that's a strong sign that the rectification is correct.
而且呢，如果说你去用行运当中的这个行星，如果在这个人发生一些重大事件的时候，正好是比如说合上了4轴的话，那是一个很强的征象，说明这个校正的时间可能是准确的。
But generally speaking, I would say transits are a better way to test a rectification than to do one.
但是我会说，这个行运一般是测试这个时间的一个好方法，但不是一个校正时间的好方法。
A good rectification should give you angles that are accurate within a few minutes of arc.
那一个很好的校正应该给出的时间，误差不超过这个4轴误差不超过几分。
But testing by transits need only be within 1 or 2 degrees of arc.
但是如果用行运去看的话，其实这个误差只需要在1度或者2度之内。
Because many factors deflect or alter the timing of transits.
因为有很多因素可能会改变或者是影响到这个行运的时间。
But if there is no event remotely appropriate anywhere near the time of a transit over a rectified angle, the rectified angle is probably wrong.
但是如果你看到这个人的行运的外行星在这个4轴附近这个时间段里面，这个人没有发生任何显著的一些事件的话，那可能这个时间就是不准的。
Okay. Any more on that question?
If it's cesarean birth, the treating method is not appropriate.
Generally speaking, one could make that argument, but generally speaking, astrologers do not make a distinction between natural births and cesarean births.
那有同学问到剖腹产，那老师说，一般呢你可以就这个观点去争辩一下，但是一般占星师他不会去区分是顺产还是剖腹产。
But I have to say the routine is so obviously based on real pregnancy periods or gestation periods that it would be reasonable to expect it not to work under those circumstances.
不过要说的确实是这个 treating 的方法，它是基于这个自然的生产，就是分娩生产过程。可能如果是剖腹产的话，确实可能要存疑的。
And it has to be remembered that in the time the routine was first used, cesarean births were usually fatal.
而且要说的是，当这个 treating 刚开始使用的时候呢，这个当时的剖腹产一般来说都会不会说存活下来的。
Though I don't know if you're aware of this, but the term cesarean birth comes from the fact that it was generally believed that Julius Caesar, the first Roman emperor, was born that way.
那我不知道大家是不是知道剖腹产在英文里面这个 cesarean 它的意思呢，就是说这个凯撒就是罗马的第一个国王，他是剖腹产生下来的。
I don't know how historically accurate that is, however.
不过我不知道在历史上是不是确有其事。
Next question.
The next question is about the 29th degree of the sign. Do you consider it any significance, or how do you use it in the medieval astrology?
The main significance of a late degree rising is that the ascendant is going to be in the term of a malefic, because in both major systems of terms, Saturn and Mars, one of them always rules the last few degrees of a sign. and that was considered to be a problem. Other than that, there is no significance, but that's fairly serious. The main problem a late degree of a sign presents is that you have to make sure the birth time is really accurate so you know which sign is actually rising.
那有同学我看在群里面讨论这个奇度的问题，那我问一下老师，就是这个29度在这个中世纪占星学当中有什么用法或者是意义？那老师说，如果你的这个上升点是在这个29度的话，那你确实需要去看一下它的这个生时准确度，然后呢，这个如果确实上升点是落在这个星座29度或者是星座的末度的话，那它的主要问题是说这个度数的界主星一般都是凶星或者是火星或者是土星，所以这可能会是一个问题。然后这可能会比较严重。然后呢sorry, I forgot the last sentence you said.
The main reason why the last degree of a sign rising is really important is the birth time has to be very accurate because you need to know which sign is actually rising.
Oh, I said that. 就是说就是老师又强调说是如果是29度上升的话，你确实需要去注意这个生时到底是不是准确，因为它涉及到底哪个星座是上升星座。
Actually, the same is also true of the first degree rising.
当然这个问题也适用于就是星座初度上升。
Those degrees, however, are not bad for the person being born, they're bad for the astrologer.
当然这些度数对于这个出生的人来说没有什么问题，它产生问题呢是对于占星师来说的。
Okay.
I think what they discuss is if a planet falls into the 29th degree of a sign.
No significance outside of the possibility that the planet is void of course.
那如果说是这个行星落在29度的话，不会有太重大的问题，除了说这个行星可能是空亡的。
What they're referring to is a modern idea that a planet in the last degree of a sign is in what is called, incorrectly I might add, an anaretic degree.
A what?
Anaretic, it means killing.
那可能呢这个度数之所以被讨论，是因为在这个现代的理念当中，它被衍生出来是一个比较危险的一个度数。
I have no evidence of this doctrine being suggested by anybody before the 20th century.
我这里并没有证据说明这个论据是产生于这个20世纪之前，我觉得它应该是就是20世纪之后提出来的。
There are a couple of 20th century astrologers who can be justly accused of being fountains of misinformation.
那大概有好几位20世纪的占星师都可以被说是提出这个论据的人。
One of these is the well-known American astrologer Ivy Goldstein Jacobson.
一个呢是特别有名的一个美国占星师叫 Ivy， 然后他的姓是那个 Goldstein。
Next question.
That's all we have.
Okay. I'm going to review the routine a little more carefully this time. I just wanted to whet your attention last time, so we'll go over it more carefully tonight.
那我们今天会更加仔细的去讲这个 tuning 的方法。
Okay, the first slide which we have here is two factors which at least one author believed should be considered before using or when using the technique.
那这里呢是至少有一个占星师他相信说在尝试这个方法之前要考虑两件事情。
And rather than read the first consideration again, I am going to describe how you can tell if it might be an issue.
那我就不读这第一点了，我就是说一下如果会产生问题的话大概是什么情况。
If in the given birth time chart, the estimative nativity, Venus and Mercury are not very far away from the position of the moon, such that they will transit that position within a few days, according to this, you have to be careful if Venus and Mercury will transit the place of the moon in the birth chart fairly soon after birth.
那么如果在一张这个给定的这个星图当中，它这个估算时间的时候，金星跟水星离月亮的位置不远，也就是说他们会在几天内去经过这个月亮的位置的话，那么你就要注意了，就是他这个人出生以后，可能月亮可能这个金星跟水星就会到月亮的位置。
This is only a problem if the moon in the birth chart is in a place which the moon itself rules.
这个会产生问题呢，只有在这个当月亮处在它所守护的这个位置的时候。
It would appear from the wording of the paragraph that several days is up to 7 days.
那在这段话里面，好像他说的这个几天指的是7天。
Because what that means is when Venus and Mercury get to the moon, to the place of the birth moon, the transiting moon may be squaring the place of the birth moon.
What do you mean by the transit?
The moon going on after the birth time.
Okay, 那他的意思呢，就是说，当这个金星跟水星到达了这个出生星图里面月亮的位置的时候，那么这个时候的行命月亮可能已经4分到这个出生星图的月亮了。
It doesn't mean that the birth chart is bad. It means that the routine may give an erroneous answer.
那这不意味着这个出生星图就是不好的，它只是说这个 routine 的方法可能校正不出准确的时间。
The good news about this technique is if the estimative moon is nowhere near Venus and Mercury, there is no problem.
那么这个方法的一个好消息呢，就是说，如果如果这个出生星图当中估算的月亮位置离金星跟水星没有很接近的话，那么这个方法就没有什么问题。
The second question has to do with the routine chart itself, or the so-called conception chart.
那第二个问题呢，是关于这个 routine 星图本身的，也就是这个受孕的星图。
If the moon in the conception chart is in a sign, i.e. domicile, term, or exaltation of Mars, and the moon is also applying to Mars by aspect or conjunction, it means the native will be born prematurely.
那么第二个问题呢，就是说还要观察在这个受孕时月亮跟火星的位置。如果说月亮落在了火星的庙界或者旺位，另外呢，月亮还在此时与火星合相的话，那这个人可能会早产。
So if either the first condition is true or the second condition is true, it means the routine is not going to work accurately.
所以如果第一点可以第一点适用或者第二点适用的话，那么 routine 这个方法可能就不太能够去用。
And the author recommended you try the Anamodar. I would not recommend you try the Anamodar.
然后呢，这个作者是推荐去使用 Anamodar 方法，那我是不会推荐的。
I think the Anamodar of all the rectification techniques I know of is the most obviously false.
那我觉得在我所知的所有的校正方法当中， Anamodar 是最有问题的一个。
Okay, now on to the method itself.
然后我们来介绍这个方法本身。
Okay. So, the first thing we have to do is to figure out where the moon is regarding the ascendant in the estimated birth chart.
那首先呢，我们是需要去寻找到这个出生星图当中月亮相对于上升的位置。
If the moon is below the horizon, we'll look to see how far it is away from the ascendant.
如果月亮落在地平线下，我们就观察它跟上升点的距离。
If the moon is above the horizon, we look to see how far it is from the descendant.
那如果月亮在地平线上，我们就观察月亮跟下降点的距离。
And with that value, whichever it may be, we enter the table on the right.
然后呢，这个距离我们去在表中去查。
There we are. We use, that's right, let me get my little arrow thingy going here. There we go. The first columns here, can you see the arrow?
No.
Okay. The first columns are used for the moon under the Earth.
那第一栏呢是当月亮在这个地平线下的时候去用的。
And the second group of columns is used for the moon above the Earth.
然后右边这一半呢是月亮在这个地平线以上去使用的。
That will become a little clearer in a moment.
在之后就会比较清晰了。
Okay. Then when you get the number of days from the table, you subtract that number of days from the birthday.
然后呢，当你找到这个天数的时候呢，就用这个出生的日期去减去天数。
And on that date, roughly 9 months before the birth, the moon should be either near the conjunction or opposition of the unrectified ascendant.
然后呢，这个日子呢就必须要这个日子的月亮与未校正的这个上升点必须要是合相或者是对分相的接近的。
And you are entitled to go backward or forward one day if the moon isn't close enough.
如果说不是太接近的话，那你可以往前或者往后推一日。
And the question emerged earlier, when do you know when to use the conjunction or opposition? And the answer is whichever one the moon is closer to.
那之前有同学问说，你怎么确定是用合相还是对分相？那么就是说排出这个星图的时候，看它接近合相还是接近对分相。
So if the estimated ascendant, for example, was Sagittarius, and the moon on your first approximation is somewhere in Taurus, then you are going to be looking for the opposition.
比如说这个估算的上升点是在这个射手座，然后你这个月亮呢是金牛座，那你可能会要去寻找对分相。
And on the other hand, if the moon at that date is, say, in Cancer, you are going to go backwards to find the conjunction.
那如果呢这个月亮在那天是在巨蟹座，那你可能要往回去找到合相的位置。
The main point is that within 24 hours of the chart you get by this technique, you should find a time in which the moon is either conjunct or opposite the unrectified ascendant approximately. And that should produce also an ascendant which is near the conjunction or opposition of the natal moon.
那么这个里面的要点呢，就是说在这个寻找出来的这个时间的24小时之内，当时的这个月亮必须要合相或者是对分相到这个接近这个未校正的这个上升点，然后呢这个时候你得出的这个上升点呢也必须要接近这个估算星图当中这个月亮的这个合相或者对分相位置。
So in other words, this is going to require a couple of approximations before we can get close to the proper true team chart.
所以呢，这个过程当中需要你去做几次调整，然后才能得出一个精确的 true team 的星图。
So let's now demonstrate it.
那我们现在来尝试一下。
Here is our old friend, the Archduke of Austria, whose assassination triggered World War I.
那这里是我们的老朋友，就是在这个一战前被暗杀的这个奥地利大公。
As you can see, the moon is below the horizon.
那我们看到月亮是在这个在地平线之下。
I'm going to change the color of this arrow here. I don't like red. What blue, white. Here's the ascendant. Here's the moon.
那边是上升点，然后下面是月亮。
So when we calculate the arc of moon